we've hit the home stretch of the high school basketball season, final month of the regular season. And tonight on a Thursday night, the 1st in February, we've got a Hoosier Heritage Conference matchup between the Delta Eagles and the Greenfield Central Cougars. Alongside Jim Leisure, Rob Brown with you, welcoming you in to Dellon Automotive Gymnasium on the campus of Greenfield Central High School. And Jim, let's get right to it. This is a big game for Greenfield to kind of keep pace with New Pal in the conference standings. And certainly this would be a huge resume builder for Delta if they could get this one tonight on the road.
Oh, yeah, it would be a huge win for Delta. And, again, like you said about Greenfield Central, they're trying to keep pace. If they can keep pace, and somebody, perhaps maybe Mount Vernon, a big rivalry game for the New Palestine Dragons, were able to knock New Pal off in the conference, it would create a nice little logjam from which the Cougars would benefit greatly.
Let's take a quick look at the lineups for Delta. Damari Hood averaging 12.6 points per game, a junior, 6'3". Caden Bonas, 5'11", junior. Johnny Manor, a 5'7", junior. Blake Jones, a 5'10", junior. And Jackson Ward's the leading scorer, 6'3", junior, averaging 13 points per game. For Greenfield Central, as the lights are cut here in the gym, Dylan Moles, the leading scorer, 6'3", a senior, averaging just over 20 points per game. Tyler Kirchhoff, 6'1", the senior, averaging 10 points per game. The third double-figure scorer is a 6'4", sophomore, Braylon Mullins, averaging just under 18 points per game. On the front line, Braden Robertson, 6'3", a junior, and Will Desjarnais, a 6'3", senior. The coaches, Mark Detweiler, in his 6th season here at Delta, 104-36, his stellar record. Luke Meredith in his 4th season here at Greenfield Central, 54-31. Tonight's officials, the crew chief Deion Smith alongside Joseph Brewer and Byron Davis. Just about set to go. Delta clad in the traveling gold uniforms, navy numerals and lettering, trimmed in gold. Greenfield Central in the home whites with the royal blue lettering, numerals rather, and the gold lettering, gold GC outlined in blue. Give me a player to watch for on each team tonight.
Without question, well, I don't know. You could say Dylan Moles for Greenfield, but the kid that's also very good is Braden Mullins. That's 1 and 2. And you kind of said it. I mean, you got Damari Hood and you got Jackson Wars for Delta. So basically, you asked for 1 from each. I gave you 2.
I like that. Delta shows zone to start this one out as Desjarnais backs it out. Moles seeking. Pass over the top. Moles has time to set his feet and knock down a 3.
Well, that's, you said set his feet. You give that kid time, and he's going to just bury the basketball. Greenfield Central comes out in about half court, 1-2-2. Nice job.
Wars spinning in the paint, got to the rim, but it danced off the back. Here comes Moles the other way. 2-on-3. Moles mentioned in an article, a deep 3 by Moles is short off the front of the rim. Mentioned in an article earlier this week as a possible candidate for the Indiana All-Star team. Would be the first one here since 2000 as Damari Hood scores at the other end for Delta, first 2 for the Eagles.
What I like to see there was Hood caught the basketball, immediately went up. He had a plan. This Greenfield defense is very swarming. We've seen them several times this year on 9-Star, and they will trap you if you hold the basketball for even just a second. So if you're Delta, you got to catch it. Have a plan. When it hits your hand, you better be doing something with it.
Well, we'll point this out when the ball goes to the other end as the ball deflected stays with the Cougars. Number 24, who you mentioned, Jim Mullins, he'll work the top of that zone and really use that wingspan. We'll see that when the ball flips to the other side here. But for now, the Cougars very deliberate with a 3-2 lead, 100 seconds in. Robertson run off the three-point line and needs help. Circle back out front. Kirchhoff a threat to shoot it from out there, as is Moles, as is Mullins. They've all hit over 33-pointers on the season.
They actually shoot 45% from behind the arc as a team, which is just insane.
Kirchhoff from deep, off the back of the rim, and the rebound squirts to Hood, or to Bond, excuse me.
So there you see Mullins right there at midcourt, and those long arms, a little 1-3-1 there, look.
And caught on the sideline.
And ladies and gentlemen, with that 3-point basket that Dylan Knowles hit a few minutes ago, number 1.
Good point. Our PA announcer mentioning that Dylan Moles, with that three-pointer that began the game, he broke the school record for career three-pointers. It's his 182nd three-pointer.
Yeah, that was just inevitable. That was just going to happen.
Broke the record held by Tate Hall, who was a pretty good player in his own right.
Yes.
Went on to play at University of Indianapolis and Loyola Chicago on their Final Four team.
Yeah, had a lot of success. Very nice of them to stop the game there and recognize him for that. Of course, he's smiling like, what are we doing? Let's go.
Let's go. Trying to get in a rhythm here.
Yeah.
Mullins flashes to the foul line, takes a look, now takes it to the three-point line. He hits it himself. Braylon Mullins shoots it at 51% from out there.
So I say keep shooting it.
2 for 4 from the arc are the Cougars early and the lead at 6-2. Corner three is partially blocked by the long arms of DeJarnay, but it's saved right to Bond, who's able to collect it, twist it, and lay it in. Well, you applaud the hustle, but you also go back to the old coaching maxim I think I heard in junior high, don't save the ball under the other team's basket.
Under the other team's bucket, yep.
Mullins tries a three. That was partially blocked by Wars. And Hood walks it to the other end.
So a couple of partial blocks here very early on.
Both teams have some length. Wars you see at the foul line on your picture wearing that shoulder harness on the right shoulder. Backs it in. He is left-handed, though, and he uses that left hand to put it up and in and tie the game at 6.
Nice job of using his body to shield the defender away, and then a little kind of baby hook right underneath the bucket.
Averages 13 a game. Played his freshman season at Blackford. Moles got all the way to the rim, but he rushed the shot. Came back in to get it, but he had not established himself. And the turnover gives it back to Delta. And the Eagles will put in the game's first substitution. It's Jaden Fernie, 5'11 junior. Number 20 on your screen checking in. His younger brother Jordan played in the JV game, also dressed for the varsity action tonight. Pass ahead to Fernie. Now Bond off the baseline corner, loops a pass over the top of the zone.
You saw Bond there. He caught the basketball, and he just kind of stood there and just about got himself trapped. And I'm sure Coach Detwiller is saying, guys, come on now. We talked about this. We worked on this all week.
Both teams playing zone. You don't see that. I'm sure we'll get a mix-up here later on in the game where somebody will throw a man-to-man, but now the leak out ahead the other way, deflected, but Mole's still able to get it, and a great hustle by Manor to get back and knock it out of play and keep Moles from getting to the rim.
You know what, credit Delta's defense. This is the most disjointed that I've seen Greenfield Central. Again, we've had the opportunity. You're going to see the replay here, just really good hustle. Moles thinks he has a clear shot at the bucket, and Delta had a different idea.
This is my first time seeing Greenfield Central live, Jim. You've seen them a couple times, but they do seem a little disjointed here early offensively.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I think, and there's just an unforced turnover. Kirkhoff just throws it out of bounds. I think he thought Mullins was cutting to the bucket. And Mullins is saying, no, I'm going out there to the three-point land where
I shoot a gazillion percent.
Yeah, where they keep the three-pointers. So, but yeah, this is, again, about as, I don't know. I mean, you said the word disjointed. I agree. I think it's a good word. I'm sure that Coach Meredith will get them settled down.
Well, certainly this slower pace favors Delta. Fewer possessions works in the Eagles' favor. Come in 10-7. Greenfield Central, a stellar 15-1 record, one of the best records in program history through 16 games. We're tied at 6 inside 3 minutes to go in a quickly moving first quarter.
Now, Greenfield averages about 63 a night. They certainly won't get there at this pace.
Fernie got through the lane. Nice shovel off to Wars at the doorstep, who lays it in. Eagles have rolled off 6 in a row and have the lead.
Little 2-3 zone by Delta.
Robertson got loose on the baseline and able to finish it against the contest of Hood.
And what I really like about that, Rob, is that he used the glass. When you're down in there, you've got to use that square. If you get fouled and you shot it hard enough to hit the glass, it'll finish. If you try to lay it over the rim and you get fouled and they don't call it, ball don't go in, and now everybody's yelling at the referees.
Yep, and they're coming the other way with it.
Yep.
8-8 our score. That bucket by Robertson was the first field goal for the Cougars inside the three-point line. Fernie takes a look. Wars at the elbow, turn and face. Ball swung to Bond, run off the three-point line. He'll twist to the rim, and just as Jim called it, finish it off the glass. You give yourself a chance for a three-point play, and Bond does just that.
And again, and I'm sure we'll probably get a replay here. Watch when he catches the basketball. He immediately shot fakes. We missed the shot fake, but he had the idea. He saw the white shirt flashing. He's thinking, watch this. And he does a little shot fake and goes right around him.
Mullins takes the foul. First foul of the game for either team. And this is the first free throw this evening. Blake Jones is back in for the Eagles. Owen Anderson has come on for Greenfield Central, as does Jake Hinton. Anderson number 23, Hinton number 10, respectively. Anderson, a 6'1 senior. Getting some football looks is Anderson. Has offers from Franklin and St. Francis. Bonds free throw rattles out. Off the end line, last touch by Moles, and it stays at the Delta end.
You know, one area where I think Delta could improve their play and give themselves a little better chance is at the free throw line. They shoot 66% as a team. Really like to get that somewhere in the 70s here as that ball rolls out of bounds, and see who touches it last. Definitely came off a white shirt.
Yep, Moles got it last. Fernie can go in the backcourt to get that.
Now, I'm so old, Rob, that when I played high school, but you couldn't do that. Once the ball crossed the 10-second line.
Couldn't go in the backcourt,
Could not go in the backcourt. And then they decided to change that rule, arguing that there was no advantage to the offense if the ball's going away from their goal. So
Hood turns the corner, and whistle blown. They say he used the free arm, does Byron Davis. Says Hood used the free arm to clear himself out. So a foul called on Damari Hood.
And you're going to see how he just kind of hooks him with that left arm just a little bit, and great call.
Yep.
And it was immediately called.
Good work by our crew there to show you that replay. We're 8-10, 10-8 our score. Delta on top by 2. Final minute change here from Greenfield Central. And Mullins fouled on the catch by Elliott, who's just stepped into the game. Caleb Elliott, a senior, 5'10".
Classic player displacement here. He catches, Mullins catches the ball. You're going to see it right in your living room there. He bumps him and moves him. That's what they call displacement.
Yep, Mullins was ready to finish that one at the rim. Instead, he'll inbound baseline right. Kirchhoff's open for a catch-and-shoot three that rims out. Nice job by Mullins, though, to use that length to grab the offensive rebound to keep the possession hot for the Cougars.
Mullins is second on the team in offensive rebounds behind Will D. Jarnett. And, again, just keep drives alive.
Moles dribbles into a pull-up and got the friendly home court roll. That's 5 for Moles early. We're tied at 10. See if Delta plays for a final shot here, but certainly Greenfield Central will try and turn them over before the quarter's end.
Yeah, that's the key. Greenfield's going to force you to do something. They're going to come out and trap you and force you to move the basketball.
Almost thrown away, but Jones able to reset. Now he's picked and kicked at the basketball, did Jones. So Greenfield Central gets possession and plenty of time to get a shot up.
Well, I don't know. It looked to me like the kick was the Greenfield player. We'll see. Yeah, it definitely came off the Greenfield player's foot, and they're giving the ball to Greenfield. Should have went the other way. Should have been a kick on Greenfield and Delta ball. But I should weigh 180 pounds, and I don't.
Mullins catch in front of the Delta bench, 5 to shoot. Anderson has time to beat the clock. His three-pointer's too strong. And the rebound one-handed by Caleb Jones just into the game. And that'll end it. Here at quarter number 1, we're tied up. A slow-paced first quarter. Tied at 10, Greenfield Central and Delta. We'll step out quickly, come back, quarter number 2 next, as you're watching Indiana High School basketball on 9-Star TV.
We are really heavily involved in the community, so there are multiple different volunteer opportunities that we can go and do.
Volunteer time to share their time and talents with organizations that need not only monetary assistance, but just people's time to help those organizations grow and thrive.
9-Star is a different kind of company, and the difference is you.
Rob Brown, Jim Leisure back with you at Greenfield Central. 10-10 our score. Delta and Greenfield Central in Hoosier Heritage Conference action. This game with this week being girls sectional basketball week. Really, the boys' games are essentially confined to tonight and Saturday afternoon. The girls get the showcase this week, as they should. Good crowd here, though, on a Thursday night.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, it's obviously the ladies' stage right now, and they should have those primetime Friday and Saturday games. A lot of teams will play, like you said, a Thursday night game or a Saturday afternoon game.
Or both.
Or both. Sometimes you'll see some teams do both, but normally I think, like New Pal, for example, does not play Saturday. They play tonight, but not Saturday, and then they play next Tuesday. So, again, trying to prepare for those midweek sectional games.
Delta ball out of the quarter break. Again, 10-10 our score. Hood's got time to measure a three that's long. Rebound fought for. Last touch by Anderson off the end line. It stays at the Delta end.
Really good ball movement there by the Eagles that time. Again, catch and release, catch and reverse. Get it around, and that ball was clearly off the Greenfield player, Anderson.
Out to Hood, who has 2 points. Bond and Wars with 4 apiece to lead Delta. Moles has 5 to pace Greenfield.
Well, and you mentioned it earlier, Rob, Delta doesn't necessarily want to quicken the pace, but I'm sure Greenfield does, and I bet Coach Meredith at the quarter break told the kids, hey, let's speed it up. Let's play Cougar basketball.
Wars corner three is off the back of the rim, tapped off the end line by Kirchhoff, and it stays with Delta, so the possession continues.
Yeah, not a lot Kirchhoff could have done there. I mean, he blocked out well enough. The young man just kind of jumped over his back and was able to tip it out of bounds, and just to save the 5-second call there.
Yeah, Jones threw it off the heel of the defender who had turned his back, and Hinton. So they'll reload it. The Jones brothers are on the floor, Blake and Caleb, numbers 13 and 32 respectively for Delta, alongside Wars, Hood, and Bond. Caleb Jones, the junior, looked for his brother Blake on the back cut, but he got in traffic in deep and had it stripped away. Leaking out Moles to the corner. Spins down the baseline. Gives to Mullins for a fall-away three that's off the rim. And rebounded by Bond.
Bond's second rebound of the ball of the night. Not the tallest kid on the floor, but he likes to get those boards.
Corner three by Hood is good. First three of the night for Delta. And Luke Meredith wants time. 30-second timeout. We'll stay right here. 6:42 to go here in the first half. And Delta, after trailing early 6-2, leads this one 13-10.
Again, good ball movement, gets a wide open three here. That's not the first time that they've gotten that wide open look. That's the first one that's fallen in a while, but coach is imploring his kids. Earlier you saw the shot, Coach Meredith there, and he was just saying, come on, guys, pace, 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 right? We're just kind of standing around. It's like we're, we're zombies right now. We got to play.
Well, certainly we've hit on this theme a couple times already, but the pace has favored Delta. They've been able to kind of grind this game. And I think the other thing that jumps out is I can't recall that previous Delta possession that there were a couple shots that got knocked out of bounds by Greenfield to extend the possession.
Sure.
I can't recall very many, if any, Greenfield Central offensive rebounds.
I won. I think
one?
Mullins had
Okay.
one because, again, both him and DJ Arnett are pretty good on the offensive boards. But that's only one. And then, like you said, there's at least 3, maybe 4 for Delta. That's how teams that probably aren't necessarily the favorite win games.
Yep.
You got to do those little things. You got to steal possession. The most talented team doesn't always win.
That is correct. Greenfield in that 3-2 zone. Moles turning face, fall away over Wars, rolls good again. Favorable roll for Moles. Second time he's been able to roll home a fadeaway.
Love to see that mid-range jumper. You just don't see that much anymore. Kids, all they do is shoot threes and drive the lane and, either dunk. There's a ball slapped out of bounds by Owen Anderson there. But you don't see that 10-footer, that 12-footer. That one was nice and soft. Now, something tells me that young man probably has keys to the gym. Probably comes in the morning about 4 a.m. and shoots a million of them.
That's that NBA influence, though, that you rarely – you can watch an entire NBA game and see 4 mid-range jump shots in 48 minutes.
Yeah, and only one of them goes because people don't shoot them.
Fernie, who's the leading three-point maker off the bench, but he finds Hood, who's made 2 in a row. And Hood with 8 to lead all scorers, and then the lead is 4 for the Eagles.
Hood proving that he can hit them from the left or the right.
Has a 31-point game earlier this year to his credit against Muncie Central. Mullins fakes the defender off his feet and able to toss in a 12-footer for his first two-pointer. 5th point of the game, back to a 2-point contest.
But credit Jackson Wars, their good defense. Now, granted, Mullins won that contest. You know, there'll be many, many others, but Wars is doing a nice job inside.
Good shovel by Wars, and he found Bond there. They're running a lot of that zone offense through Wars at the elbow, and he's done a nice job to turn and face and find opportunities.
Young man, just a junior and doing a nice job here. Caden Bond already at his average of 6.
Around the horn, Mullins tries 3 up the top, off the front of the rim. Just 2 3-pointers made so far for Greenfield Central.
Well, here's the old saying, you live by the 3, you die by the 3, and right now Greenfield is not hitting them certainly anywhere near the pace that they normally do, of 45%. They've hit a couple, but they've missed a bunch more, and I mean, I'm going to guess that Coach Meredith is going to say, guys, keep shooting them. That's what we do. That's what good shooters do.
Yeah, they've had good looks.
Yeah.
And the 2 they hit were early in the game. Delta in no hurry. Bond in the corner. Gets out of the trap. Over to Manor. Hood another 3. Almost 3 in a row, but that one danced off the rim, and Moles brings it the other way halfway through the second quarter. Great bounce down to Anderson. Reverse layup up and in. Owen Anderson with his first 2 off the bench.
Really nice addition to this basketball team. He's only played about 10 ball games of their 16. I believe there was a football injury or something to that effect, and he has been a nice addition to this squad.
Long 3 by Fernie is way off. And Anderson pushing the other way through the midcourt traffic. Finds Kirkhoff at the rim. Jump pass. Thrown over to Anderson for a 3. That's good. Anderson has 5 in a row, and the Cougars are back in front.
And Anderson, again, although he has not shot many, shoots at just an insane 61% from behind the arc.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
14 out of 23. So it's a reasonable sample size.
No, it is. It is. Not quite to the level of Mullins and Moles, but he walked.
Wars through the lane, fouled. A couple defenders there. Let's see where the foul will go. Goes to Anderson. So says Joseph Brewer. Blake Jones returns for Delta.
A good replay there, definitely slapping down, got him right on the wrist. Man, IHSA officials are really good. I mean, do they miss calls? Sure, they miss calls. But does your son miss free throws? Yeah, I've seen him miss free throws, lots of them.
Fernie dribbles into a long 2 and got the roll. Jaden Fernie, his first 2 off the bench. Delta back on top, 2019. Inside 3 minutes to go, first half.
4 different scores for the Eagles in the book so far.
Yeah, Fernie's their leading 3-point man from a make perspective off the bench. Anderson tries a long 3. That one's no good, and Wars has the rebound to himself. Manor, their leading assist man at 2.5 a game. Initiates high left. And Hood knocks down another 3, his 3rd of the quarter. He's 3 of his last 4 from out there. On his way to 11 points, first player for either team to get to double figures.
He is in a little bit of a zone, so defensively, you're Greenfield, you got to take him away, and if you're Delta, you got to feed him.
Moles fumbled the dribble, but got it back. Now needs help. Anderson run off the line to the rim, blocked by Hood. Now numbers for Delta the other way. Jones through the lane, put it up, and a blocking foul called. He rattled the shot off the rim, but Mullins moving, so says Byron Davis. And Jones shoots 2. That's a second foul on Mullins.
Yeah, and you know, with just about a minute or 56 you're going to see on the replay here, yeah, just wasn't quite totally set. And
was like he slid in underneath.
Yeah, he slid in while the player was still in the air, and so good call there. But again, probably go ahead and get him off. You only got about 2 minutes to play in the half, and you don't want him to get that 3rd foul.
Blake Jones, the senior, at the line. First one up and in.
Jones shoots about 71% from the line.
His younger brother Caleb steps back in. Wars gets his first rest. 4 points doesn't speak to Wars' impact in this first half.
Not at all, and I also wonder, too, where, you know, again, good time to get him some rest, and then, you know, he won't get any fouls, so he'll be able to play the whole second half, you know, have the full complement of 5. So
Well, after Anderson scored 5 in a row to put Greenfield Central on top, the Eagles have responded with 7 straight and lead by 6. Their biggest lead of the night.
Again, credit the Delta defense. Again, extending things out. You see Blake Jones out there trying to doing his Braylon Mullins impression at the top. Then they're switching it out, too. I mean, it's not just a 1-2-2 or 1-3-1. They're different players, a matchup type of zone.
Kirchhoff forced into a travel by the pressure defense of Hood.
I have Greenfield with 4 turnovers, and that's a lot for them. I mean, I know they average about 10 a game.
About 10 a game, yep.
And that was one of those things where it just didn't look right. There was something wrong there. Nobody knew. You're not for sure what it was, but
Mark Detweiler was almost a second defender on that play. He was 2 steps away from stepping onto the floor.
yeah. I mean, I've never heard a referee say it, but I think sometimes they think, I don't know what it was, but you can't do it.
Jones hands to Hood. Anderson up tight on Hood. Fade away from the elbow and couldn't get the roll. Rebound poked at. Last touch by Robertson. So it stays at the Delta end. Again,
this is another possession that it just goes out of bounds, and Greenfield's the last to touch it. I really thought Hood could have gone all the way to the rim there. And definitely off of Robertson's hand there. But he decided to kind of set back and shoot the fadeaway 15-footer. I think if he'd have gone to the rim, he would have been able to finish.
Both teams have plenty of fouls to give. Just 5 fouls total called in this first half.
And again, Delta more than happy. They'd love to salt away this last 42nd. I mean, you're up 6 points, and you're kind of the underdog coming into the thing, as Greenfield's going to walk out and force it.
But the prospect of taking the very last shot and assuring that you go in with Greenfield sitting on 19 points. Hood wants a 3, though. No good. And now Greenfield Central will have an opportunity as DeJournay clears the rebound. Inside 20 seconds to go. Mark Detweiler, I don't think wanted that shot that quickly.
I don't think so either. I mean, again, you talk about Coach Knight, used to talk about all the time, not every shot is a good shot. And that probably was not a good shot.
Jones pressuring Moles. Now the clock runs low. Kirchhoff through the lane, and he pushed off.
Yeah, again, Coach Meredith's acting like he's just beside himself, but the truth of the matter is he's out of control. Watch the arm come off and watch the push. Luckily, they didn't call it flagrant.
So just 0.3 of a second remaining. Let's take a look at this again.
A little elbow to the face there.
Yeah.
And then that's just out of control. I mean, that's why it's called a player control foul.
And a heave to the other end. It wouldn't have counted regardless. But a strong first half by the visiting Delta Eagles as they outscore Greenfield Central 15-9 in the second quarter to take a 25-19 lead into the halftime break. We'll step out, come back with you in about 7-8 minutes. Third quarter right around the bend after this halftime pause. Back in a little bit. You're watching Indiana High School basketball on 9 Star TV. Back at Dellum Automotive Gymnasium, Rob Brown alongside Jim Leisure. Third quarter just around the bend as Delta leads Greenfield Central 25-19. Dylan Moles leads the home team with 7 points. Damari Hood with 11 points to lead all scorers. He had 3 threes in the second quarter en route to those 11. Jim, some overall impressions of what you saw in that first half.
Very impressed with Delta defensively because, again, I think some of the offensive disruption is that it's not that Greenfield suddenly forgot to play or forgot how to play. It's Delta taking them out of their game a little bit as we look at it at minute 26. Greenfield just now coming out of the locker room, Coach Meredith, and they're giving the lads a little extra love. I'm sure telling them all how much he cares about them and wishes they would play harder. And I bet he did it a little bit louder than I just did there. But, yeah, I mean, honestly, the thing that sticks out to me is Delta's defense and Delta's ability to move the basketball and hit shots. I mean, that's why you're up 6 points. When, if you believe everything like Sagarin ratings and computer rankings and all that stuff, they should probably be down 6.
Well, Greenfield's lowest point total of the year was 46, and that was in their only loss of the year against New Pal back about 6 weeks ago. They're going to have to hustle to get to 46 tonight, if Delta is able to continue the pace. As you see the HHC standings, Greenfield a half game behind New Pal, but New Pal wins the tie break on the head-to-head win. Meanwhile, Delta trying to claw their way up to the middle of the pack here in this final month of the regular season. Really, it's as much now with 4 weeks to go, it's as much about getting momentum and getting things fine-tuned for the sectional as it is anything else.
Well, and I said this on our last broadcast, I think if you're Coach Meredith and anybody else in that sectional, if you can't win the conference, the majority of my practice time would be how do we beat New Pal? We're going to practice against their sets. You're going to see here some of this ball movement by Delta. But, yeah, I mean, New Pal still has to beat Mount Vernon, as you see Hood come up here with one of his threes. But other than that, I mean, I'd be working on how to beat Greenfield if I'm New Pal. I mean, you got to start now thinking about sectional play.
Original starting 5 on the floor for both teams. Greenfield Central with the ball to start the second half, moving right to left toward its bench. Mullins spins in the lane, flips it up and in, and draws the foul. So the sophomore Braylon Mullins going to work to begin this second half.
A little more aggressive that time again instead of just standing outside from the three-point arc, which Greenfield had a tendency to do there in the first half. And I'm not saying that's bad. That's their bread and butter. Obviously, they're going to go to the rim a little bit more here. And that kid is just so good.
Manor takes the foul. Johnny Manor, his first. Mullins converts on the free throw. Three-point play just like that. And it cuts the deficit in half from 6 to 3. First Delta possession. Greenfield kind of ratcheting up the pressure. A little more aggressive on the double teaming. Delta had 2 players in the same spot. Bond flipped it up, though, and got it in. Not a pretty possession, but Bond able to convert. He averages 6.5, and he has 8.
A really nice job, and you said it, he just hustling. You could see the defensive pressure. So that, again, looks to be at least the initial halftime adjustment by Coach Meredith. Guys, we're going to come out and we're going to get after him.
Moles dribbles into a 3 and hits. And just a minute into this second half, the body language for Greenfield Central is markedly different.
Look at the trap right there. You just can't do that. If you're a player, you can't take the ball past the 10-second line and pick it up. You're going to get trapped.
Mark Detweiler calls time to avoid the turnover. Full timeout. We'll keep it here with 6:57 to go. Minute and 3 seconds into the third quarter. And Delta up 27-25. Well, our next broadcast is a week from tomorrow night. We'll be back with you. And I don't know if it's good or bad, but you and I will be back.
Well, they can't get rid of us.
We'll be back on the call. We'll be down the road, down I-70 a little further east in the land of John Painter.
Yeah.
Shenandoah High School.
I think the only time John was able to shake me was he told me that the game started at 2. It was really a 7:30 tip. And I showed up at 2, saw nobody there, went home, and that was the only way they were able to get rid of me.
I'm looking forward to it. My first ever trip to Shenandoah as the Raiders host LaPel next Friday night.
There's a little bit of basketball history in that gymnasium.
A little bit.
And I can fill us in next week or when that happens. But
I will need some educating.
That was a team that I believe in 1981 they went all the way to the Final Four.
Scott Heddy.
Yeah, Scott Heddy.
Yep.
Bob Heddy was the coach, and that
Yep.
was again single-class basketball.
Yep.
Probably not more than about 200 kids in that whole building. Maybe a little more, 240, 250.
I think they were the smallest school to get to the Final Four in the one-class tournament since Milan.
Yeah. You're probably
the
right.
mid-50s.
Yep.
So look forward to that next week. 7:30 our start time for that one. Hope you can join us.
Again, look at the defensive aggression there.
Float over the top, and Hood able to navigate. Hood thought about the three, but
you know what? But he had a white shirt from him, and unlike the first half when he had just several open looks.
yeah, Greenfield really ratcheting up, much more aggressive, driving kick, and Hood's three rolls off. Bond set him up, but Hood couldn't find the bottom, and Greenfield chance to tie or take the lead.
DeJarnett with his third rebound. Again, he does a lot of that stuff. He's not going to score a lot, but he gets a lot of boards. He plays good D.
3 for the lead. Moles misses the 3, but Robertson scrapping for the rebound, knocked free, and a foul called on the Eagles. This one might bring a reaction of dismay from the Delta bench.
Well, that's the other kid for Greenfield Central in Braden Robertson. Again, Robertson doesn't score a lot of points, but he hustles, and he creates that, and again, just the reach in, just enough for the official to blow the whistle.
Fouls on Bond, his first, team second. Moles dribbles into a pull-up 2 and heads. Well, Moles with 5 quick ones in the first 2 minutes of this third quarter, and he's tied the game at 27.
Yeah, Coach Detwiller maybe would call a timeout here, but he had to burn one on that trap in the corner. Again, when you catch the basketball or dribble it past the 10-second line, don't pick it up. Go somewhere with it, pass it. But if you pick it up just 3 feet past the 10-second line, you're going to regret it.
Yeah, especially if you're on the sideline. That time Jones turned it over in the middle of the floor. And Greenfield's pressure starting to crack Delta just a little bit.
And they call a travel here, we'll see with his feet. And I don't know. I didn't think he did anything more than most kids do, but whatever.
We're tied at 27. Greenfield's begun this second half on an 8-2 burst. Make it a 10-2 burst as Moles hits the pull-up again. He's starting to get it going.
Yeah, Coach Detwiller would normally, I think, call a timeout here after this run, but can't do it as they force the ball right at the 10-second line.
Now Bond over to Hood. Yeah, the Eagles need a bucket here. Wars spinning, up and under, hook move, he put it up and in. Oh, that's a YMCA shot right there that Wars just flipped in.
Very
and
nicely
he drew the
done.
foul.
Yeah, very nicely done here. I'll probably see the replay here, just really working hard and is able to, and you notice he did not hook with the left arm. He just dipped the left shoulder, got around the defender player, and was able to lay it in off the glass.
That foul went to Braden Robertson, his first and the team's first. And Wars can't find the mark on the free throw.
Wars, another kid, shoots 63%. Is that bad? No, it ain't bad, but it ain't good. All right, you got to get up in the 70s, and ideally if you can get in the high 70s, early 80s.
Wars has the steal after Moles lost the handle. 2 defenders in pursuit. Moles blocked the shot, but Robertson fouled Wars before he elevated. Fouls on the floor. I think, oh my, they're going to give him 2 free throws on that? Wow, okay.
Well, let's watch it. I didn't think it was all that egregious. I didn't see anything that would warrant a breakaway or a 2.
Well, they called him in the act of shooting.
In the act of shooting?
I thought that foul was going to be on the floor.
Yeah.
Before he got into a shooting motion.
Well, because Robertson fouled him
correct
long before if Moles did. Now, if you're calling it on Moles, then yeah, that's in the act of shooting.
Yes.
I see what you're saying.
So Wars goes to the line, hits the first. They did give that foul to Robertson, however. And Wars missing the second, so he splits the pair. But 1 is enough to give the Eagles the lead back at 30-29.
DeJarnett with his 4th rebound.
Kirchhoff yet to get free for a 3. Meanwhile, Mullins' 3 rolls off the rim. DeJarnett is on the offensive glass, falling away, lost the handle. And Delta walks it up. Mark Detweiler says, let's slow things down here. You see Coach Detweiler at the bottom of your screen in the vest. It's become a thing now, guys, coaching in vests.
Well,
they're going to the mall to pick up something.
Yeah, everyone's getting real casual there. You look over at Coach Meredith, he's got kind of a pullover.
Yep.
I remember a day when guys had ties.
Fall away by Hood, got right in the seam of that zone and got an open 12-footer. Hood with 13. 5 quick points by the Eagles to get back in front by 3.
Yeah, a little bit of an answer to that Cougar run here right out of the gate. And they've kind of slowed it down a little bit and started doing what they did in the first half. Greenfield, same thing. I mean, they're kind of being very patient, and you would think that they would want to try to move it along a little bit because that's more Cougar basketball. Put pressure on people.
They got this game back where they wanted it when they came out
Aggressively.
quickly at both ends.
Yes, exactly. And now all of a sudden we've decided to go back and be very, very patient. And, there's arguably, being patient is good, but when it's not your game, run. That's what you do. On both sides. Get after them on defense.
So Moles dribbling out between the circles. Mullins swings, and his pass to the corner is tipped out of bounds by Hood. Kirchhoff was spotting for a corner 3, but the pass never got there. And the Cougars inbounding in front of their bench as Caleb Jones steps in. Bond returns as well for Delta. And Owen Anderson, who had 5 points off the bench all in the second quarter, number 23 on your screen in white, has returned for the Cougars.
Jake Hinton to the scorer's table for Greenfield Central. He will check into the next dead ball.
Several dual sport football, basketball guys on this Greenfield roster. Ball swung in the corner. Mullins open for 3. That's good. Well, you don't want to rotate off the guy who shoots 51% from the three-point line. And Mullins hits his second of the game and ties it. And we got a tie-up, jump ball, defensive pressure, and the arrow favoring. Actually, the arrow stays at the Delta end, so Delta has the arrow, so we'll stay at that end.
But again, credit Will D. Jarnett there with the aggressive defensive play, and may not sound like much, but later on in the ball game, when that arrow now favors Greenfield Central, could turn out to be big.
We mentioned pass deflected out of bounds. We mentioned dual sport athletes, Caden Bond, number 3 for Delta, who has 8 points tonight. He is a 2-year starting quarterback and still has 1 year left to go. And he'll tee up a corner 3, miss it long, but Fernie goes up high to get it, but as he tightrope the baseline, he traveled. And that gives it back to Greenfield Central with 2:02 to go in the third.
Yeah, you hate to see that great hustle, great effort play here. You're going to see him catch it. He comes down, and then he kind of skips and hops there with both feet. So
yeah, never could get his balance.
Yeah, and that's all it was, just a balance thing. But it's the right call.
Anderson trying to find Mullins off a screen. He swings to get it in the corner. One-on-one against Caleb Jones. Takes it to the baseline, put it up, and the shot blocked and a foul called. Much to the dismay of Caleb Jones.
Boy, Braylon just does everything he can there to set up that defender and finally gets him to where he could get a little bit of burst right there. He gets past him. And the swat, I think, is going to be like on the back of the shoulder.
Yep.
Anytime you swat down like that, they're almost always going to call that foul.
Mullins' first free throw is short. But we've seen lately, and by lately I mean the last couple of years at all levels, high school, college, pro, referees will reward a defender if he stays straight up.
Correct, but it's that swatting down.
It's the swing down, yep.
Yeah, that, I don't know, I think it was Roy Hibbert for the Pacers years ago that established that cone of verticality, he called it, or something to that effect.
Yes.
And if you're vertical, you're entitled to that space, that air space above your head. But you can't swat down. And if you do swat down, the referees just, again, they almost have to call that.
Hood, corner 3 off the back of the rim. Mullins flies in to get it. His free throw put Greenfield Central back in front. And our third lead change of the night. Make it the fourth, 3 the other way. Quick 3 is missed by Moles. And Hood brings it through the midcourt traffic. All the way to the goal. Put it up, and it spun off. Well, it was a great drive to the rim, but he couldn't finish it.
Caleb Jones for Delta, 2 plays in a row, really good hustle plays, was not able to come up with it there on this end, but you're going to see. Well,
that's an athletic move to the rim by Hood. He just could not get the roll. The aforementioned Jones has a seat as Jackson Ward returns for Delta.
And not before Coach Detweiler, though, says something nice to him. Just says, good hustle, kid. I'm not taking you out because you did anything wrong. It's just, time for the other kid to play.
A hard drive to the baseline by Hinton. Finds Anderson on a back cut. Reverse layup that he converted in the first half. Couldn't go, but he drew a foul on Wars. And Anderson tees it up twice with 48 seconds to go in the third.
Yeah, that would have been one of those ones that you vote on, the play of the year if it goes.
Yeah, he almost spun that one in. Had a similar layup converted in the first half. First one on the way, no good.
Anderson shoots 75% and I've got him for 0 for 1 now at the line.
How's this for some numbers? 595 yards of total offense in the fall. 5 rushing touchdowns, a receiving touchdown, a kick return touchdown, and 3 interceptions. Is that good? That's good, right? That's
yeah. You got anybody else on that team?
That checks all the boxes.
And I know they do. Coach Nolting does a fantastic job with that Cougar football team and has really got them playing competitive football. They have made great strides in kind of closing the gap, so to speak, that has been the New Palestine Dragons. Coach Ralph's team still holds the advantage there, but not like it used to be, believe me. And now Delta more than happy to do their Bobby Plump impression here.
Yep, trailing by 2, final 20 seconds.
I think Milan was tied 30-30. They were behind early in that stall. But it was about the same score.
Wars in the lane, but the pass was too far. Down the lane, and a double dribble call on Hinton as he moved through the midcourt.
Well, nobody wearing blue and gold likes that call, but I think it was the correct one. I mean, if we get to see another shot of it, he kind of gets it, lays it on the floor, then kind of steps a little bit, and lays it back on the floor. I think it's a good call.
So 1 and 7/10 seconds left for Delta to get something up. Wars has time to measure a 3. Ooh, and he almost banked it in. As it stands, Greenfield Central outscores Delta 15-7 in the quarter and flips a 6-point deficit into a 2-point lead. But still 8 minutes to go to decide this one. We'll have it on the other side after this. You're watching Indiana High School basketball on 9 Star TV.
When moving into a new home, we ask ourselves questions like, who is the best internet provider in town? Well, have you considered locally owned 9 Star Connect? We've become the fastest, most reliable, and dedicated fiber-to-the-home internet company in central Indiana. Our internet packages have been modified, and we are changing speeds at a more competitive price. So give us a look. Visit us at 9starconnect.com. 9 Star is a different kind of company, and the difference is you.
Back at Greenfield Central High School, Rob Brown alongside Jim Leisure. John Payne are heading up our fine crew tonight on the east of downtown Indianapolis, Hancock County. Greenfield Central 15-1, winners of 12 in a row. 7-1 here on the home court. The only blemish, a loss to New Pal back in December.
Yeah, and I don't know, you mentioned it earlier. I mean, this is probably the best start perhaps at Greenfield Central. This was a consolidation of Hancock Central and Greenfield High School. 1970, I believe, was the first year. They've had their share of success. They've won 7 sectionals, 6 of them when it was single class. But I don't remember them getting off to a start like this. They had a great team in 67, 68 with Mike Edwards when it was still Greenfield High School. But I don't even know if that squad got off to a 15-1 start.
Yeah, he was a 2,000-plus point scorer, Mike Edwards.
Yep.
Down low, great lob to Mullins, and he lays it in. Mullins sharing game-high scoring honors with Moles with 14. That's a 4-point Greenfield Central lead, matching its biggest lead of the night, and the Eagles turn it over on their first possession.
And, you talked about how Greenfield outscored Delta in the third quarter, and now, with this start even, it does feel like Greenfield's starting to kind of flex their muscles a little bit, maybe just kind of start taking advantage of some of the experience. There's a thing called hoping to win, and there's a thing called expecting to win.
Moles to the bucket, puts it up and in. He's got 9 in the second half, 16 in the game.
And I just got the feeling that Greenfield expects to win and Delta's hoping to win.
Well, much like we saw in the opening minute of the third quarter, Greenfield is playing at a much quicker tempo at both ends. And Delta looks a little disheveled. Mark Detweiler sees a turnover coming and calls time. Full timeout called. We'll stay here. 7 minutes even to go. Greenfield Central leading this one by 6, 38-32. We mentioned Dylan Moles is 16, Braylon Mullins with 14 to lead Greenfield Central, Damari Hood with 13 to pace Delta. Both of these teams will be in action on Saturday afternoon. Greenwood will be in here. By in here, I mean here at Greenfield Central on Saturday afternoon. You talk about contrasting styles. Greenwood wants to keep the game in the mid-30s.
Yeah.
They will bludgeon you to death with 3 and 4 minute possessions.
Yeah, another team that's like that is Connorsville. Kerry Brown down there at Connorsville. I mean, he loves to win games 32-29 and stuff like that. And, I was looking at Greenfield's schedule before the ball game. And, they play a Greenwood team that's 6-10, Franklin County 8-8, Avon 8-9, Martinsville 5-10. They end the season with Plainfield, who's 13-4, very good ball club. By then should probably be 16 or 17-4. But Greenfield does have a real opportunity to finish the season 21-1, which would be very daggone impressive. Now, you got to go out and take care of your business. And tonight, it looks as if they are taking care of their business, albeit a little bit slower than maybe I thought they would. But, yeah, they have a chance for a very, very special season. And, man, it's hard for me not to pick. I love New Palestinians Ball Club. I love their players. But it's still hard for me not to pick Greenfield to possibly beat them in that section.
Tough to beat a team a second time, especially a conference rival where the scouting is so familiar both ways.
Yeah, and, they used to play Hancock County tourney.
Bounce into Wars out of the timeout, and his shot at the rim spun off the rim. That was a great look out of the timeout. And the Eagles come away empty.
And one of the reasons why the coaches at the schools decided to forego the county tournament was the fact they played each other 3 times.
Moles' 3 is missed. DeJarnett tried to tap the offensive rebound out, but he goes into the bench. And back to the Eagles down 6. We mentioned Greenfield Central will host Greenwood here on Saturday afternoon. Delta will be back at home as well, hosting Mississinawa on Saturday afternoon. You mentioned that Plainfield team. I saw them live right before Christmas. They're a strong ball club. Andy Weaver's group.
Yeah, I mean, they very well could be, again.
Pass telegraphed, deflected the stolen. Moles gets it back from Mullen, then he lays it in with the left hand. So the run continues. It's an 11-0 run dating back to this third quarter. Foul called on the Cougars on Anderson, his second.
Nice job
team's
again.
Third.
You see the anticipation from Moles, tips it to a teammate, gets it back. Thought he might go up for a dunk. Wisely just finishes with the left hand on the left side of the rim.
Delta led this game 32-29. Inside 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. Eagles have scored 11 straight since then. Kirchhoff's got the steal, 4 on 3. Up the right side, Moles missed it short, but Kirchhoff is there to follow it up and score for his first 2 of the game. Full timeout call by Mark Detweiler. He has seen enough.
Very impressive there by Kirchhoff.
Excuse me, full timeout call by Greenfield Central. Beg your pardon.
Yet another turnover there, and again, that's one of the things Delta did early in the first half. They protected the ball well, not so much in the second half, but watch Kirchhoff come flying in here, catches it in the air before he can even land, lays it off the glass. That's one that, you ought to make that a three-point. If you can shoot the ball without putting your feet on the ground and hit it, no matter where you're out on the floor, make that a three-point.
Well, I heard this years ago when I worked in professional basketball. I worked with the coach who talked about, he used the football term pick sixes, live ball turnovers.
Yes.
And when you're on the road and you're trying to pull an upset, one of the things that you got to limit is live ball turnovers. Sure. And Greenfield Central, you talked about it before we came on air, Greenfield Central thrives off of that.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, again,
steals, deflections.
Yeah, it's the nature of the game that because you get a turnover, the ball's in the passing lane, you knock it loose. I mean, somebody's breaking to the rim, and just steals in basketball, especially anything over, north of the free throw line, almost always result in layups at the other end. Unlike in football, I mean, sometimes, you get a turnover and you still got to, if you don't get a pick six, you still got to go on a 9-play drive, and a lot of bad things can happen. But basketball turnovers tend to lead to buckets.
Well, Greenfield Central with its biggest lead of the night, 10, after trailing by 3 mid-third quarter.
Delta with an opportunity here. You don't want to say this is, must score, but they got to get something going here if they want to win this basketball game.
Wars tried to cut into a gap in the zone, and Jones's entry pass is kicked, so they'll try it again in front of the Delta bench. Wars passing the baseline to Bond. He fumbled it. It was low. Hood tried to get it. Bond fighting for it. And now rolling around, Bond to tie up. And the arrow favors Delta. A little bit surprised. Well, let's see. I don't think they took the tie up. I think they correctly noted that Bond was laying on the baseline, as you see on our replay. Bond was sitting on the baseline when he tied up Anderson.
The officials, I think, are going to go over here and confirm all that.
Well, they are going to. Are they going to stay with the arrow?
Well, and I think Greenfield, if you remember, got the arrow in it earlier because DeJarnett tied one up.
They did. That's correct.
Yeah. And Luke Meredith was trying to call a timeout, but now the referees could argue that his player didn't really have possession, so if you don't have possession, you can't call timeout.
Kirchhoff has the avenue to the goal, and he scores over Wars. So Kirchhoff with 4 straight. That's 44-32. Wars in deep, lays it in with the left hand. Fake the defender off his feet nicely. He's got 9, does Jackson Wars. And Delta calls a 30-second timeout. So that stops the run. So going back, it was a 15-0 run going back to the middle of the third quarter that allowed the Cougars to flip a 3-point deficit to a 12-point lead. Wars scores to make it 10. Still time, but if you're Delta, you're flirting with it a little bit, Jim, and that in order to get back in the game, you're going to have to do what you don't want to do, and that's speed it up.
Without question, but you got to. I mean, you're going to have to come down. You're going to have to move the basketball quickly, find 3-point shots. If you can't get a 3, get an easy 2, something underneath a layup. And, what I like about this for Greenfield in their situation, again, 10 minutes to play, 10-point lead, 5 minutes to play. And this could come into a situation in the tournament. Going to be in this situation. And Delta's going to give them a nice full-court press, and this is good. Well, I guess token pressure.
Moles, who has 18 to lead all scorers, brings it up against Jones. And in a double team, Hood stuck a hand in. Oh, and Mark Detweiler winces, thinking that his junior had a steal heading the other way. Instead, it's a foul on Hood.
You're going to see it here. Right there, he just grabs his wrist.
Yep, he did, right in front of Joseph Brewer.
Yeah.
Second foul on Hood, 5th on the Eagles. And Moles hits another 2. He's got 6 in the quarter, 20 in the ball game. It's his 10th 20-point game of the season. Corner 3 is good by Blake Jones. First 3 of the half for Delta. And, Jim, they're going to have to make some threes to get back in this game.
Yeah, they are. And, again, we talked about just doing it quickly for Moles.
You come out there and chase, though, and Moles able to take advantage, find the avenue, and get all the way to the rim. Put it up and in.
Coach John Wooden used to talk about competitive greatness being at your best when your best is needed.
Wars got in deep and a foul called, blocking foul. Wars flipped it in, but it will not count. Foul called on the floor on Kirchhoff. His second and the team's 4th. A good look at it here. Boy, Wars just laid the body into him. And Jones throws it away. Mullins steals it. Moles up the wing. Stutter steps by Majors and lays it in. Or Manor, excuse me, and lays it in. Moles has 10 in the quarter, 24 in the game. And the lead is 13. 30-second timeout called by Greenfield Central.
Just really good ball control there. Good, good feet. You're going to see him use his 2 steps wisely and then lay it in. Of course, he's a kid that can finish with either hand at the rim, which is very important.
Well, Greenfield Central, 19 points in the first half, 31 here in the second half with still 3:54 to go. Creeping toward its average of 63.
I had Delta with 3 turnovers in the first half. I have them with 10 now. So, again, even if they're just 2-point plays, that's 14 points that they've left on the table, so to speak.
Well, the pressure and the length of Greenfield Central has just worn Delta down here in this last really 8 minutes if you go back to the middle of the third quarter, the middle of this fourth quarter.
Yeah, and just having a guy like Moles, you got to have a guy who will just take over. He's got 10 points in the fourth quarter. I mean, when you really, really need him, he'll be there for you.
Blake Jones got in deep, found Hood on a nice cut, but he couldn't finish the rim. Wars, though, flies in, grabs the offensive rebound, pivots away from the defense, and lays it in. Jackson Wars with 11.
Now Greenfield has a choice. They can continue to play that kind of let's keep doing what we're doing, right? I mean, we've got a great run at it, or we can slow it down, use some clock. I wouldn't second guess either philosophy.
Kirchhoff turned the corner on Hood and drew the foul. They collided. Kirchhoff his quad collided with the knee of Hood. A little sting for a little bit.
Yeah, without question, a good call, and that's exactly what happened there. Just a knee to the thigh. And
Hood's foul, his third, the team's sixth. So the next Delta foul will put Greenfield Central in the bonus for the duration.
Look at the spacing here.
Kirchhoff drive and kick.
I mean, you've got a white shirt in all four corners of this gym right now.
And Fernie fouls Mullins. That will start the 1-and-1 parade. Fernie foul his first, team 7, so Mullins shoots a 1-and-1. Teams have shot just 11 free throws. Greenfield Central 3 out of 5, Delta 3 out of 6.
And Mullins is 2 of 3, does shoot 75% from the line. So again, this is where you want your kids to go to the line and finish things. This is what you're going to have to do if you're going to win the tournament.
Missed the front end, but Desjarnais is there again for another rebound, this time at the offensive end.
I have him for 7 total.
Moles picks up his dribble at the foul line. 15-footer spins off, and Wars brings it the other way.
Got to shoot quickly. I mean, you don't want to take 20 or 30 seconds off the clock.
Fernie got to the rim, put it up and in, but a foul called en route. It's team foul 5 on Greenfield Central, so no shots. Now goes to Desjarnais, his first. Desjarnais' foul, his first, and the team's 5th.
Again, you don't want to linger here. You need a shot. Somebody's got to cut. Somebody's got to drive. Somebody's got to go to the rim.
And Fernie splits the defense, gets to the rim to lay it in. Jaden Fernie averaging 11 off the bench. He has 4. It's a 9-point game. Inside 2.5 to go. Desjarnais gets by the defender and takes it to the rim.
Well, they had a 4-on-1 there. They had 4 guys trying to trap Moles, and Moles got it down to Desjarnais, who had 1 defender to beat. Nice little shot fake, beats him baseline.
Long 3 by Fernie is short. Wars, though, attacking, gets the rebound, puts it up, no, but drew a foul. And a chance to score with the clock stopped, 1:59 left.
Well, that's one of the things that Jackson Wars does well, is those offensive boards, keeps drives alive.
Wars shoots 2, fouled in the act. First one on the way, short. Right-handed Wars. I mentioned earlier he's left-handed, but he's right-handed.
63% from the line, and I've got him 1 for 3.
Yep. Where's that heavy brace? That wrap, I should say, on the right shoulder. And the second one takes an extra kick on the rim and falls off. Mullins fouled in the deep backcourt by Hood. Take the walk to the other end. That's the 4th foul on Hood. Hood has been quiet here, just 2 points in the second half after 11 in the first half.
Yeah, credit the Cougar defense. I'm sure, again, the halftime adjustments.
That was a topic of discussion, I'm
sure
guessing.
It was brought up.
The 3 wide open threes that he made in the second quarter.
Yeah. Could I get somebody just to get near him? You don't even have to guard him. Just get in the same zip code.
Robertson checks out, and Desjarnais returns.
You know, they say that sarcasm is not an effective coaching tool, but believe me, it worked for me.
Great shot down the center of the floor as Mullins knocks in the first free throw. To give you an idea of what Mullins has accomplished in his sophomore year. There was a stretch earlier this season, 2 weeks ago, over a 4-game period, he averaged 27 points a game and was 17 of 24 from the three-point line.
Yeah.
It's both ends there. It's 54-41. Quick three the other way by Hood is an air ball short. I think Mullins got a piece. And now nearing 100 seconds to go. The Cougars will play keep away. And Moles pushed off on Manor, called for a foul.
Yeah, I mean, just a little bit. There was just a little bit of momentum, a little bit of push. Now the Delta player went down like he'd been hit by a truck. So there might have been a little bit of acting there. Watch this. He just, then,
Yeah, Manor might have embellished that a little bit.
Just a bit. I ain't mad at it.
54-41. Hood, quick turn and shoot from 10 is too strong, but the rebound tapped right to him, and he couldn't find the mark on the runner. Rebound loose on the deck, and Anderson picks it up. He's in a race to the goal, and he reverses it up and in. He loves that reverse layup. Owen Anderson with 8 off the bench. 56-41. Jones down the baseline, 8-footer too strong. Rebound DeJarnette. And he'll dribble it into the forecourt. Splits the defense. Anderson wants a three. Too strong. That one would have blown the lid off the student section. Inside a minute to go. Hood pull up foul line. Good. 15 for Hood. 56-43. Inside 50 seconds left. And Delta may be content. Mark Detweiler says a little token pressure, but it looks like the Eagles are content.
I think I wouldn't let them just go 40 seconds. I mean, I'd make them do something. But, I mean, they're not going to win the game. I get that. But it's an opportunity to practice against varsity basketball players. Because I guarantee you that there's not a scout team in the world that's going to give you the look of a varsity basketball team. Well, maybe Ben Davis's. They probably got kids on their bench. They got kids that don't travel.
Their JV team hasn't lost a game in 2 years.
Exactly. They got kids that don't even travel to away games and can start for other people. But
so Dylan Moles with a game-high 24. He'll hold it and wait for the horn. And Greenfield Central, after trailing by 6 at the break, they turn a 6-point halftime deficit into a 13-point conference win over Delta tonight. Eagles outscoring Delta in the second half, 37-18, en route to the Cougars, I should say, outscoring Delta 37-18 in the second half, en route to their 16th win of the season and 13th straight. Jim, some final thoughts on what we saw here tonight.
Well, again, I think what we saw was the second half that Greenfield went back to playing Greenfield basketball. Dylan Moles ends up with 24. Braden Mullins with 16, and how about Will DeJarnette with 9 rebounds on the day, and a couple of those were offensive rebounds that kept drives alive and opportunities to score. Again, probably about the way I thought. I mean, it just took Greenfield a little bit longer to do what they did.
Delta led by Damari Hood. He had 15. Jackson Wars chipped in 11 as the Eagles dropped to 10-8 on the season. Partner, it was fun. We'll reconvene next Friday night at Shenandoah.
Right. If they don't fire us, you never know. Just keep checking that mailbox, and you never know. You may get that pink slip. I know I've gotten a few down through the years.
We look forward to you joining us as well. We thank you for spending time with us tonight. John Painter headed up our great crew tonight here at Greenfield Central High School. Our final as the Cougars defeat the Eagles of Delta by the score of 56-43. On behalf of our entire 9 Star TV crew, it's been Rob Brown saying so long, everybody.